Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the roll call show that we have 2 people missing this evening, Beth and Leon. And now, Mike, we get to stand up again.
I guess so.
Yes. I didn't read this part. I got my own in here. That's a paper.
Isn't that exactly the same?
Mine's like that.
Oh, you have to read that. I emailed that to you. The one that I printed there.
That one here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just read this. Then I'll have to sign you right away.
Temporary.
It is an honor that you are appointed to guide the education of our community's children. As you recite the oath of office, you assume a tremendous responsibility as a director of our school district with the duties empowered by the Minnesota legislature. This power puts you and the other members of our school board in the position of being both morally and legally responsible for equitable, quality education for every student in the district. We must strive to work together and with the superintendent and staff to lead the district toward fulfilling the vision we have created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, citizenship, and personal development. Having signed the acceptance of office, which you will sign after this, will you please publicly affirm your commitment by repeating the oath of office after me? I swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of this state.
I swear that I will support the Constitution of this Constitution of the United States.
Okay, and that I will discharge faithfully
That I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of school board,
the duties of office of school board,
member of Independent School District 2154,
member of Independent School District 2154,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Mike, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you all.
I had you sign this.
Yeah, I provided it.
Oh, you did already? Okay.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, go ahead and sign it, and then we'll have Kathy notarize it.
Right now, or?
Yeah. That way we are leave.
Aboard.
Thank you. Mark.
Both of them.
Did you want me to sign the other stuff?
One more? Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure. It's good for the show, right?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. 3.0, principals and student rep report, which we don't have a student rep unless Candace wants to sit in.
No.
Okay. Okay. Okay, which one of the principals would like to begin?
We have nothing.
Nothing?
Summer.
Nothing?
And our student rep will be gone all summer as well. So.
Yeah, okay. Figured that. Okay, well, no news is good news. So far. Okay, moving on. 4.0 achievement recognition. I believe that we have several here. Is it Reed Melliker? Okay, Melliker and Stephen Day, state track and field qualifiers, and Mitchell Huffman, state golf qualifier. Done a very good job this year. They've been really good in their course of going after athletics and also as student athletes. So I think they did a very good job this year. Moving on, 5.0 visitor input. Anyone who's not on the agenda who wishes to be heard, please step up to the podium and state their name. And okay, hearing none, all those move on. Agenda changes, Debbie?
I have one addition to the agenda, 10.8. Tom Horde, request for leave of absence. And that's all.
Okay. Approve the agenda. I'm sorry, yeah, approve the agenda. the evening. We need a motion and a second.
Also move we approve the agenda.
Support.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. 8.0, approve the consent agenda. If there's anything on there that somebody wants pulled off, let me know. We'll take it off. Hearing none? Okay. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9.0, that's the consent agenda, which you can see all the minutes and the treasurer's report. Moving on to new business. 10.1, approve the memorandum of understanding regarding teachers' evaluation and development.
Over the course of the year, members of the teaching staff and administration have worked on putting together a teacher development and evaluation plan. As you know, this is legislatively mandated, and there are certain components that have to be contained within the plan that's developed by a district. The teachers and administration have reached agreement on the plan that will be used next year, that will be implemented. We also have agreed that as teachers do peer observations and complete all of the paperwork required of that in the pre-observation or pre-conference, the observation and the post-observation, that each teacher that completes that would be compensated at a rate of $100 per completed evaluation. For this next year, as our first year of implementation, they will do the observation during one of their preparation periods, and they will do the pre-conference and post-conference either before or after school or during another preparation period. So these dollars will come out of staff development dollars to compensate the teachers.
Okay. We need a motion and a second.
I'll move we approve the memorandum of understanding regarding teacher evaluation and development.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All this stuff will come to you in time, Mike. So I know we're moving kind of fast.
I got a little crash course the other day.
We actually had an opportunity to meet with him and talk about some things and go over this agenda and talk about the items on it. So.
Okay, good. Thank you. Well, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10.2, approve the extension of Chickagami lease.
The district received a letter from both the city of Eveleth and from Chickagami requesting that the district extend their lease for an additional year. My understanding, I met with David Celine, who is a financial consultant working with both the city of Eveleth and Chickagami at this time. It is the city's intent to help Chickagami relocate to, it looks like right now what is planned is a new facility to be located within the city of Eveleth. But in order to obtain the financing that the city would have to obtain, Chickagami must remain in business. So we have it in writing here from both the city and from Chickagami, and actually Doug Ellis is here to answer any questions that the board might have regarding the request.
Okay. We need a motion and a second for a discussion. I'll make the motion that we grant the extension for 1 year.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. No discussion?
This will still be in the old junior high building then, this 1 year extension?
They would remain
Yeah,
there
stay
until the
there.
new facility is ready. And when I talked to the financial consultant, they thought that that would be a year from this fall. So sometime next fall of 2015.
We've never gotten a letter like this from the city.
Well, I talked to
Working
the
with
city
them.
clerk today too, and there's a lot of unknowns here yet, but my personal opinion is I can see giving 1 more year in the building they're at, but that's it then. I think that's ample time.
I think it should be. Hopefully, if everything falls in place for them, I hope it does. So,
The lease would run from what period of time?
Well, the lease expires the end of August this year, so if we renewed it for a year, it would be through August of 2015. And by then, I would think you should at least see a facility being constructed, so.
So it's possible that it might be a little longer. But, right?
I just have
It
what's
might
in
take
front
a
of me
little
here.
longer.
You know, I can't say one way or the other, but my guess is probably yes. As we all know, we're hoping to have this plan all in place by the end of July. That's basically the city's, goal. It is putting everybody under pressure, but that's okay. Believe me, I'd love to have it up tomorrow, but you know what it's like once you start digging a hole. Whatever you run into, how long it's going to take, I don't know. I just unfortunately cannot answer that. My guess, though, it may be longer than a year. Because it depends on when groundbreaking will be.
But it is really nice to see that there is action happening, that something
Yeah.
is happening with this finally.
May I ask, like, how long, how many extensions has this, when were they notified the first time?
Chickagamee's been in the district since 1997, and I think we notified them that in 2012, their lease was going to end in 2012. So we gave them an extension through 2013, and then they asked for another extension. When they asked for the first extension, we increased their lease payment that year. So then in 2013, when they asked for an extension, we gave them an extension with that same lease we had given them in 2012. The difference here is they've never had a letter from the city of Eveleth indicating that the city was going to work with them to relocate them.
I mean, does the city publicly have a plan to do it, or is it still in development for the planning?
Well, there again, the whole plan, hopefully, according to Dave Saline, should be finished by the end of July. I mean, there's quite a bit, as you can well imagine, putting a plan together. We've had to find a consultant that will help us with our business. Maybe I should come up here, it's easier for me to talk here. What Chickagami and the city is doing, this all unfolded probably around a month ago. So you can imagine this all fell in our lap, and this is what we're all working for. The city decided that they definitely want to keep Chickagami in Eveleth, and they're willing to put their best foot forward to see if we can work something out. We have a location in mind. We've at least got that far anyway. We're working on a business budget plan as we speak. We have hired a consultant to come in. And unfortunately, there's not daycare consultants that you can pick off anywhere, but we do have one. And what it did is it allowed us to become part of the Parent Aware program. And I would like Crystal just to say something about Parent Aware, if you would talk about it a little bit. And you can explain that it is to your advantage to be a part of that Parent Aware. Jackie Monahan and Dave Saline have been working very close, and we had a plan for the building layout back in 2011 when we were, at that time when we were discussing where we were going to move, and at that time we looked at actually plans that were still on school grounds. So we actually had a business layout, a plan already laid out for the construction. It's a little bit short on sizing, so we're going back to our architect. We have kind of hammered out most of the details, so we will be giving that to our consultant by the end of the month, or our architect, and that should be completed definitely by the end of July. But this Parent Aware program is a pretty cool thing, and it gives us a star rating, and it also can help the school too. Crystal. I'm putting her on the spot, so.
Well, Heidi, who is the Parent Aware and Greater Than Minnesota coordinator, said that what she would do is, if we do get the extension, she would like to have a media campaign offered by the Greater Than Minnesota project and the Parent Aware project indicating how well the school and the daycare has worked together throughout the years, and just make it a big media blitz on how the school has supported early education. She said she'll call the commissioner, the early childhood head department of learning, and she said they'll do TV, they'll do radio, they'll do newspapers, and just let them know how important the partnership that the board feels it is for Chickagami to continue to be within our community. So they're going to come up, and we're working with Aaron through United Way as well to continue to develop our program and strengthen our program. So they'll be doing point break analysis to decide where our business plan can be strengthened and where our program can grow, and maybe where we need to just scale back in our facility as well. So that just happened last week. We met with Aaron, and then Heidi should be coming up within the next 2 weeks to tell us where we need to go from here as well.
So what was the result of your site visit to Gilbert?
Was there a site visit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Anything is a...
Never heard back from you on that?
No.
And then this was the next
and here's what happened. I did go to the site. We met. I brought my architect there, and we went through the whole building. And yes, it is a feasible deal. But in the meantime, right in the middle of that, came the city. So the city said to us that they would like to work with us and keep us in Eveleth. So what happened there is we had two choices. We could run with, maybe taking the Gilbert location and running with that, which the city of Eveleth said that they would not help us on. Or we could go with the city and see if we could work out this deal. The city preferred us to do that.
So when you say help you, is the city financing the building then? Or how?
Well, they're going to help us finance. They're going to figure out how to do it. Yes.
Okay, so it's same pair of pants, just a different pocket. What it amounts to, it's either the school's money or the city's money, but either way, you will be getting assistance to go forward, whether it's in the Gilbert building or in a new facility here in town, correct?
Possibly, yes.
Probably helping with the grant writing and that. Yeah, I'd imagine. Anyone else?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
This is, I guess, this has been a heated conversation in my world for the last winter, and it's I guess without a plan, I guess my point is, you're here asking for your extension, saying that it'll probably go a little longer, which is fine if there's a plan in motion. Is there any way that the school board can get kind of progress reports as things move forward, so in a year's time there's just not another letter asking for another extension, so we kind of know there's an end in sight, I guess you'd say? Does that make sense?
Well, I think the city would be more than happy, and us, to provide you with all the information. I don't think we're hiding anything, or are we trying to delay this any more than we have to. Mike, you got to understand that when things like this develop, working with any government agency, it doesn't happen overnight. Things take time. And that doesn't mean you folks have to follow through. And once again, if you extend this lease today, it's not saying you have to do it the next time either. You're not obligated by any means. I mean, whatever you put your stamp on today doesn't mean it has to be the same stamp tomorrow. And let me just point out, I mean, we all know it does take time, but we're doing the best we can to come up with all this so that by the end of July, you will have all the information, that you need to understand where we are.
Yeah, I guess, excuse me.
Go ahead.
I guess my point is if it does pass tonight, it's passing contingent on knowing that more than likely in a year we'll be here again, but in a year we'll be in a different spot. It's hopefully there's progress, and there's, hey, we need 6 months more, or 8 months. Nobody's going to want to throw you out in a year if there's somebody there, for lack of a better way to put it, so that's kind of what
it's more like this. If this doesn't work out, it will be the end of Chickagami and Eveleth.
Or Chickagami, period?
No, not Chickagami, period, because we do have another daycare and we have a camp.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're not closing. You know, it just will be the end of the Eveleth daycare.
And it's a
Yeah.
big daycare.
So you can imagine, we've been struggling with this for 3 years. I mean, this isn't the first time, you know, and if you think I like standing up here and begging for another year, I don't. But understand that you know, we got a shot at this. So, you know, if you extend it for a year, I'm forever grateful, but you know, I'm not asking for anything further than a year. I mean, because there's no point of me telling you things I just don't know.
Right, and that's why I respect you being honest, saying that more than likely you could be back, and
Well-
that's kind of the point of how I look at the
Yeah.
vote, is it's an extension till probably the end. Good, bad, or ugly, you know, hopefully good, but it could be.
But if we get this deal done, we will be the queen of the north. And with daycare sitting the way it is, there is so much need for daycare in this community. It's unreal. I mean, we have to turn people away daily right now.
Your plan, you will be able to accommodate more
Yes,
daycare?
yes.
How much more?
Probably 25 to 30%.
Okay.
You know, we're licensed for 87. We will definitely be licensed, but we're actually fielding that more kids. What licensing means is if you have a licensed daycare for 87, only 87 can be in that facility at that particular time. But we have far more than that. They're just not always there at the same time. So we'll be licensed for at least probably 120 to maybe 130 kids, which could actually extend us to even more. You know.
So actually, it's your intent to actually locate within the city of Eveleth?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we've been here this long. As you're all aware of that have been on this board for a long time, remember, this whole situation, I'm here, it's not because of us. It's not because our business was bad. And it's just this unfortunate circumstance, but a circumstance we understand, that you want to close a building and you want to move on. I understand that.
Well, and I guess that's my point walking into all of this and kind of researching it. I mean, just by you occupying those two buildings.
We're not occupying two, Mike, we're only occupying
Well,
one.
I guess they're one and the same for demolition purposes,
Yeah.
for overhead expenses that it costs the district 30 grand a year just to have them still standing, per se, and
Yeah.
one's got to go with the other one, per se, so, and, yeah. So, I mean, and that's kind of how I look at it, is like, that's
Yeah.
30 grand a year that could go towards an educational thing if we started the process to start tearing them out. I mean, and that's kind of my point of, hey, if there's a plan in motion, let's set that, so then maybe
Yeah.
we can start looking at a plan to get in motion to start the process of getting them buildings taken care of
Yeah.
as soon as possible to save the district some money too.
Yeah.
On the flip side of it. And that was my only thing for trying to get progress, and then maybe the district can be working on other sides of trying to get studies and demolition things involved, the sooner the better.
Yeah, we have to go through a hearing also before we can close any buildings.
Right,
so-
and that's
Yeah.
what I heard too, so I mean,
Yeah.
if everything kind of could work, it can work, you know.
I would urge you to be a little more forthcoming with communication with the board, though it's been pretty sparse. We only hear from you when when we're at a crisis point. And everyone would really appreciate having better updates, seeing you at meetings so that we could ask questions rather than letting things fester. Especially if this is going to go forward, there's going to be information that all the citizens will want to hear, and not just from the city. Not everybody in the district is a citizen of Eveleth. So they maybe won't watch their meetings, but they will watch ours. So some of that information will be repeated, but I think it's healthy for us to have the same thing the city will have.
It's just healthy for
Well,
everybody, I think.
Once again, understand that this is within less of a month that we found this out. Also, my understanding is Dave Celine has been in contact
Dave
with the
Celine
school.
came to see me, and I think I had sent
You
a
mentioned
letter to
that,
the board indicating he had been, and then I think I forwarded, when I got the letter from the city of Eveleth, I think I forwarded that to the board members too, so.
Also, I have an open line of communication if anybody wants to call me anytime. I mean, I'll be happy to meet with any of you. Just give me the word. But, you know, there's one thing too, is I'm not here just to waste your time. you know what I mean? If I don't have anything to offer at the table, I just don't want to come here and say, hey, I don't have anything. I want you to be informed, but I would like you to be informed with the facts. But I'm happy to, any time that you want to sit down and have a meeting with me, I'll do it. And as the city releases information that I'm willing to share that too, and I'm sure they are also. But like I said, this just happened within a month.
Okay, anything else? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
10.3, approve the 2014-2015 ARC services contract.
This is our annual renewal with ARC for financial support for the district. The fee is about the same as it was last year.
There's more paperwork.
How many years have we participated in ARC?
Probably ever since it existed. Yeah,
It's been
I mean, it's
over
been,
20 years that I can remember.
yeah.
They provide all of our computer information.
Yeah,
They
I'm aware
help
of that. I was
with everything.
curious.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, I think we've been there pretty much since the beginning.
I think since the
It's-
beginning,
It's
yeah.
been a while. I never get to the end of the paperwork. There we go. Okay, we need a motion and a second.
I'll move that we continue with ARC.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10.4, approve the Minnesota Rural Education Association renewal.
We joined this organization last year, and they provide updates, legislative updates on a regular basis. They also provide updates to the superintendent on other issues that are facing rural schools in Minnesota. They also lobby down at the legislature on behalf of rural schools, and one of the things they lobbied for this year was closing that donut hole. Remember, Mark, you actually brought a resolution to MSBA for that, but they worked really hard on behalf of that, so we did get some additional funding as a result of that. Not so much as some other rural schools did, but we can pay for this with staff development dollars because it is educating board members, administration. They also put on an annual convention in the fall that's open to board members or teachers or administrators from districts. So I think it's a reasonable fee for the information that they provide and the work that they do lobbying on behalf of rural schools.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
I'll move that we continue with the Minnesota Rural Education Association.
Support.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10.5, approve the proposal for architectural services for the high school gym roof.
As most of you know, we had a leak this spring on the gym roof, and it caused damage to the gym floor. The gym floor actually has to be repaired, and most of that will be covered by our insurance. But we can't repair the gym floor until we repair the roof. And that roof has reached its maturation. It's over 20 years old. So in order to do that, we need to have some architectural services performed. So we have a proposal from DSGW in the amount of $5,800 for the scope of the work. And we'd like to get busy on this so we can get that roof replaced in a timely manner. The way it looks, we may not be able to replace that gym floor even until next spring. The damage is in an area where we'd like to have it repaired, but the gym's going to be in use by the time that roof gets repaired.
Yeah. Okay.
And we don't want to have any additional damage done
No,
to
we
the floor.
don't. I believe,
No, we've got to get that.
is that the original roof, Mark?
It is,
I
yeah.
think it is
It
original.
is.
That was from
Gymnasium, yes.
93,
It's in the
94?
90s when you built
92,
that.
I think it's.
92, 93, something like that?
Yeah, it says in the
Okay.
letter, I think it was 92.
Okay, we need a motion and a second.
I'll move we approve the proposal on the repair of the high school gym roof.
Just the architectural
It's the
services.
architectural services for $5,800.
I'll support that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10.6, approve the preliminary 2014-15 budget.
And Candace is going to walk you through the budget.
There more.
We had a Budget and Finance
More?
Committee meeting earlier this spring, and really, we did not identify anything in terms of budget reductions. So we moved ahead to come up with a final preliminary budget to propose to you. Preliminary budget for the next fiscal year has to be approved by June 30th. So we'd like to approve that this evening. So Candace, do you want to walk through the papers?
Is it just one page? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you revised.
Is this the revised?
Yeah, it's the revised.
Revised?
And I need
Really
one
don't.
of those also.
Thursday when we were working with Michael, and then Mark Forty pointed one out before the board meeting, so. The first page is our projected pupil enrollment. So every year, I usually sit down with Debbie and we look over what we have for enrollment in 13-14 for this year, and then we project a small decrease for the following year. And this is just for the kids that are actually sitting in our seats. So we just like to see how many were actually sitting here in our seats. Starting today, that number could obviously change throughout the year depending on how long, open enrollment and changes for kids are just happening throughout the year. So this is just kind of an overall number here that we're looking at. So at the end of 13-14, we're looking around 1,067, and we're projecting a 10 pupil decrease by the end of next year of 1,057, an overall decrease. 10.62 is our revised 13-14 budget. I just put that in there for informational. That was what we had approved back in December when we did our revised budget.
And I think we put that in there so that you can take a look at what we're projecting our unassigned fund balance to be at the end of 2014, so you can see how it compares to what we're projecting our unassigned fund balance to be at the end of 2015.
So the next one that I just handed out to you is the revised of the 14-15. Starting at the top line, so line number 9 is the restricted district staff development. We have 2% of our general fund balance that we have to set aside for staff development for the board members, all of our staff that can go to conferences or in services, I guess, just to better prepare them for different things that are going on, like the teacher evaluations. So we divide that out by district and then each building based on the amount of kids that are in each building. And every year we project that we're always going to spend down that fund balance. We do not really expect to spend down $130,000 in staff development dollars every year, but we always just put that out there. When I bring back the revised in December, you will see a fund balance there carrying forward from this year for 13-14. So $55,156 for district staff. Nell Sheen staff will have $13,789. The Franklin staff will have $31,715. The junior high staff will have $13,789, and then the senior high staff will have $23,442. We do not have the exemplary staff development anymore. That was part of the old rules. Debbie, remind me of what the percentages were.
We used to have to set aside 25% of staff development funds for the district, spread out 50% of them to the different sites, and then we typically reserve 25% of them for some special types of projects that we would have going on.
Line number 15 has the principal accounts. That includes our Target funds that we get from people that shop at Target, or we have our vending machines that we get money from as well. We never know how much that it's going to be because it always fluctuates with the Target. So we just have a projected fund balance of the 25,338, and that will change once we have our audit done. I always change that with our revised budget. Line 16 is our gifted and talented. We are projecting to have a fund balance of $64,795. Expected to bring in $15,371 and spend $25,634 out of there, which will leave us a fund balance of $54,532. That includes our Knowledge Bowl and our robotics team, if they have entry fees and travel and that. Our transition to pre-K, we have $1,372 as a fund balance. We have not seen any new revenue coming in, and I have said that we could use those on the kindergarten roundup bags. I don't know, is that what you call them? For that, but we are just expecting to have the 1,372 because I never know really how much we're going to need for supplies. So I can always bring that at the revised. The restricted for technology, we are projected to have $326,059 as the fund balance. And we're expecting to have $244,199 in expenditures, so bringing that balance down to $81,860. And that does include our third year of iPad implementation and any technology upgrades as far as cabling.
And I think we're replacing 2 labs also.
Mm-hmm. Our CNC severance is at $5,391. We are bringing in $10,000 for revenue, $10,775 for expenditures, bringing us down to $4,616. Our crime levy is $61,003. We'll bring in $41,228, spending $39,786, bringing our fund balance to $62,445, and that will include our InterQuest canines, our DARE program, safety stuff mostly. Our taconite money, we have separated this out just because that is the money that we get from that tax forfeited land that's being mined right now. And it could be one-time money, it could be stopped being mined on tomorrow. And we're projecting to have $900,000 come in next year for the payment in August. And once we bring that to the end of the year, we'll roll that into our unassigned, unless you are wanting to assign it or restrict it at some point.
Hang on just a sec. Weren't we going to spend some of that crime money on cameras?
Crime money can be spent on cameras, but right now we're trying to fund all that security camera upgrade through the IRRB money. Remember, we had
yes.
identified that as
Thank
a
you.
project, so,
Yes, I forgot.
yeah.
Thank you.
Our assigned CNC is $65,558. We no longer get any revenue from that, and we'll be spending more of our media budget out of that. So $44,804, which will bring our fund balance down to $20,754.
No, this is the Gilbert campus.
With the
Library
consolidation in the
Right.
media center and all
Yes.
that. So once this
Yes.
is spent down, all of the media will be just coming out of our unassigned. We are projecting our unassigned fund balance to be $3,336,102. We'll have revenues over expenditures by a very small amount, and by $25,918. So that'll bring our unassigned fund balance up to $3,362,020. As far as our transportation, we're projecting to overspend this year, which in the fall, when we have our revised budget, we will be rolling that into our unassigned, because that is what the auditor had recommended. And so our revenue for transportation will be $617,107 with expenditures of $749,400, which will bring our overspending to $368,092 if we weren't to move that deficit spending. So overall, our fund balance is looking like $3,914,682, and that does include that $900,000.
Oh, if that wasn't in there, put it in a different light. Right?
Yeah, if it wasn't in there, yes, it's a different line.
When we move down to facilities on line 29, we have $66,037, revenue of $210,966, and expenditures of $204,379. Taconite M&R is $190,163 with revenue of $255,833 and expenditures of $130,000. I don't have as many projects in there sitting right now because I'm not sure if you guys have approved all of the facility
We'll be
projects.
talking about a buildings and grounds meeting that Mark Heitzman wants next week, possibly to talk about some additional projects, so that number may change based on that buildings and grounds committee meeting.
Our deferred maintenance of $21,193, revenue of $77,733, and expenditures of $92,000. Our equipment had a fund balance of $82,649. We projected revenue to be $118,985, and then the expenditures that have already been approved is $157,724, so that will bring that down to $43,910. Our health and safety, we have a negative balance because we always have some projects that come up sometime during the year, so we're always running a negative fund balance in there. $54,761 of revenue, $92,805 of expenditures, so we'll still have a negative balance. But as the levy works out, we'll eventually hopefully get to zero.
And it always laps. For all, the state's always at least.
Takes a
year
couple of
behind.
years to catch up.
As far as the other funds, I guess the other one that I really wanted to talk about was community ed, which Lynn and I still need to sit down and discuss. With the community ed budget, we're just regular community ed on line 36. We'll have $147,522 of revenue and $118,109 of expenditures. So that should leave us in the positive. When we moved on to ECFE, preschool screening and school readiness on lines 37, 38, and 39, those are all looking like they're going to be negative. So if we have to, we may have to cover some of those expenditures out of Fund 1, out of our unassigned, if they do end up as negative at the end of the year. So that might just be something that we all need to look at maybe after year end. Then on line 43, you have the post-employment benefits of $145,000 and expenditures of $259,348, which will bring our balance down to $1,189,199. The additions and reductions page, which was the other one I handed out to you. At the top is our beginning balance of the $182,166. And then going down, you'll have your 4 curriculums that were up this year to have new curriculum bought. 2 loaders that were needed by the maintenance staff, a new bus, a new Suburban, and then we had a few retirements with replacements. And then also we had some elementary FTE that was being reduced because of one less section.
One less section that we're thinking might happen.
And then we had an increase to secondary staff. It's mostly just moving around which staff are going where and what we needed for science and extra classes. So and then athletic uniforms is on the second page. So that brings us down to the total that still needed to be reduced, which is $151,179. But with that $900,000 of tax forfeited money, we're going to have a surplus of $748,821 that would be added to our fund balance.
And Mark, I think when we had our committee meeting, you asked what happens, if we lose more students. So I asked Candace just to say, what if we lost another 10 students? And we looked at different levels of students, I think some elementary, some secondary. So we said, what if we had another decline of 10 students over the course of the year? Instead of just 10, we lost maybe 20. So it would be another loss of $50,297. And when you have declining enrollment, you do receive some declining enrollment aid that offsets that general fund aid a little bit. So, but we wanted to put that on there just so you could have an idea in your mind of what if we lost 20 or what if we lost 30, what's the impact on the budget?
Thank you.
The next handout was just the equipment, another summary of what has already been approved. I did not put each building's requests in here. I just put the overall equipment fund. 10.67 is our technology set aside, our restricted money that we had set aside, the $700,000. So this just shows your third year iPad implementation, your replacement of your workstations, the cable improvements, wireless access points, and all of that. And then your fund balance of the $81,860 at the end of the year. And the last page is our facilities fund. On this page, I had talked to Mark and I had some projects that he had kind of given me and kind of rough estimates, I guess, as far as some of these projects, and he, so I just had put these on here so that if you wanted to approve them, you could, but I know that you guys will have another buildings and grounds meeting, so. Did you guys have any questions?
This technology thing, this iPad, this is the last year of that? This is the third?
We'll have full implementation of grade 6 through 12 after this year, until the technology committee comes back with additional recommendations, right?
And that includes replacing 2 labs.
Right.
There's a possibility that maybe sometime over the course of this year, we'll ask to replace another lab, possibly during Christmas vacation. We're going to see how that lab operates up in the Franklin. It is used so much for testing that we want to make sure that all of those computers are functioning properly. And if we see that we're having trouble, we may ask to have them replaced prior to the testing season. So.
Okay. So, we need a motion and a second to approve the preliminary budget for 2014-15.
I'll move that we approve the preliminary budget for 2014-2015.
Support. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you. Good job.
And thank you for Thursday.
10.7, approve the increase in time for Denise Berry from 1,680 hours a year to 2,000 hours per year.
In my information letter, I tried to explain that when we first created this position, which was back in 2010, we wrote a job description for it based on our strategic plan. But over the past 4 years, the job has really changed quite a bit. Denise is an expert in extracting data from PowerSchool and that, so we have used her talents to help us with a lot of state and federal reporting. I think that you're all aware of the Community Connections paper she puts together, and she's the one that's responsible for submitting articles and that to Mesabi Daily News or to the Hometown Focus. She updates our webpage constantly. She's very good at what she does. But in order to complete everything that she's taken on in addition to the original job description, and I tried to show you that in the new job purpose there. She's doing MDE Carl Perkins data collection and submission. She's PowerSchool administration, Google Apps administration, which includes creating staff and student Gmail accounts. She resets user passwords. She updates all of our mailing lists. She does the star reporting, updating of the 0 through 4 age census, civil rights data collection submission, website content filtering, power announcement alert system. She's also able to work with PowerSchool technical support desks to help resolve issues when we have PowerSchool issues. So she has willingly taken on quite a bit, but there's not enough hours in the 1,680 hours to do all of that. So to increase her to $2,000 or 2,000 hours per year, the cost to the district is $6,500.
What's your pleasure? We need a motion and a second. We'll move.
I'll second.
Okay.
for all she does. If she needs more time to do it, I'd rather,
She either has to have more time to do it, or we have to take some of these jobs away and try to figure out who else is going to assume some of them.
or else we have to hire another person at an additional cost.
Yeah,
above
and-
and beyond that.
With this new Affordable Care Act that's going in for health insurance, our business people, Candace and Andrea, are really strapped for time with the Affordable Care Act. So some of this are things that we can relieve them of doing if Denise has some additional hours. As well as Danette, who's been really involved in the Power School when we've had significant issues with Power School. I know that Danette has spent numerous hours on the phone with Power School trying to resolve some of those. Power School, you can only name 2 individuals in the entire district that they'll work with. So Danette would still be a contact, but Denise would become the primary person dealing with these issues.
Is this position a year-round position, or is it just?
Actually, 2,088 or 2,080 hours is considered full-time, so this is still not quite full-time.
Is it primarily during the school year, though? I mean, it's
It'll
not
be
a-
sometime during the summer now
or just
also.
depending on situation.
Like this civil rights data collection submission, we had to do one 2 years ago. That probably, and I believe Mr. Carey had to do one for St. Louis County Schools. It's a very time-intensive data report, and the best time to do it is in the summer after you've closed out Power School for this current year's information prior to committee next year's schedule. That's the easiest time to extract that data. So now would be a perfect time for her to start working on that data collection.
Well, I think we've all been very complimentary of the work that Denise does over the years, but I think we also need to remember that this is not about Denise, this is the
No,
position.
it's about the position.
So it could be anyone sitting in that position. So it irks me a little bit when we name her in
Oh,
here.
okay.
Only, I realize you did it for clarification purposes, but it doesn't belong there because it's got nothing to do with her. That being said, it's also not a confidential position.
No, it's not.
It's still
It's
part
an
of the
AFSCME.
AFSCME contract, which still has not been resolved, to my knowledge. I don't believe we've resolved that
No,
contract yet.
no, it
That
still
hasn't been
has,
settled.
is under negotiation.
So it would be this amount in addition to whatever across the board raise, all other contracts.
This right now is at the current rate of
That's what I'm
pay
saying.
as stated in the contract that's still
That's
in
at her
place.
current
Yeah.
rate. So she would get an additional amount
When the contract
once
has been
that
settled.
contract has been resolved. That's a lot of money for one change, $6,500 right off the bat, plus whatever the contract settlement provides.
But there are a lot of hours.
No, I
being increased to
understand, I understand that, I'm just speaking
Not
out loud,
just-
I didn't complain, I did preface it by saying that I appreciate what she does, I'm just,
You're just saying that the
the
contract
fact of the
could
matter is,
affect
it's
this.
still a lot of money. And she's not a confidential employee.
No.
So are we going to have anyone else knocking on the door suggesting that what they do is so specialized or so unique that we're going to be revisiting this with other staff?
Would you feel better
Not
to
that
do this
I'm aware
after the
of.
contract's
No,
done,
no,
or-
I'm just making an inquiry.
Not that I'm
I know
aware of.
how it
And
is
this
once you
doesn't
open the
come-
door.
This doesn't come at her request. This is coming
No.
at administration's request because of.
I understand that because we visited this before. But it's, my concern, to be perfectly frank with you, is are we opening a door that could lead to that? And I did look back at my notes as we've proceeded through the contract stuff. The proposals that went back and forth about this very position didn't approach that dollar figure until sort of toward the end. And even this exceeds that, so I'm just a little concerned about taking one position out of that entire contract and addressing it in this fashion. Do we have precedence for doing that?
Well, we reduce positions. We take certain positions and we reduce them by pulling them out, saying, we think we can cut in this area. So I'm saying we do look at individual positions within a contract, and we've reduced some of them as we've needed to make budget reductions. Now I'm saying I think there's a need to increase because of the work now that's necessary to be completed. And this position, because the person in this position has to have some specialized technical skills, technology skills, it fits real well with this position.
Anything else? I see you're still thinking.
Yeah, just,
Oh, yeah, I know. Okay, anyone else?
Well, just to be clear, this isn't necessarily the person, this is your
It's the position.
Your
Just the position.
recommendation for the position.
Right.
And that's, I guess that's good enough at this stage. you know.
Okay, anyone else? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
no.
Motion carries 4-1. Okay, 10.8, Tom Ward, leave of absence?
I think the letter that Tom wrote is at the table, and you can see that he's requesting for a period of up to 1 year, beginning on a date that will be determined by him and administration. He's laid out some terms and conditions of the leave of absence. It would be a leave without pay. He would not accrue any vacation or sick days during the leave of absence. At the time that the leave would commence, he would be paid for his remaining vacation and comp time. Reemployment would be permitted upon 2 weeks written notification by him of his intent to return to his current position. Reemployment would be the same job classification, and he wants to maintain his seniority rights, and the number of sick days that he holds would be held intact over the course of his leave.
Isn't this exactly what we have in the contract?
Actually, there is no language in the contract that talks about this type of a leave being requested. We have granted this type of leave in the past. We had an employee, I think a couple of years ago, that asked for a year's leave of absence, and that employee was granted that, and that employee did not return.
This is-
Were all these same, excuse
Oh,
me,
no, I'm
were all
sorry.
these same elements in place with the other, I know who you're talking about, I recall the leave, but I don't recall the details
I
of it.
don't remember if the vacation and comp time was paid out at that time or at, okay, it was, okay. That's the one thing I couldn't
I mean,
remember.
that's earned time either way, right? So,
I mean, it would either be paid out then or
Right.
upon a resignation, so.
And that first employee that you referenced had many years of service.
Yes, that is correct.
How long has Tom been with us?
Tom's been
I'm gonna say maybe, do you have that?
4 or 5,
I'm saying maybe 5,
maybe 6?
5 or 6.
5 or 6.
He's a fairly young
Because he worked
employee.
part-time before he was,
He did.
Wasn't he kind of a contractor for the school prior to his employment?
He did some work
I
for
know
the school.
history
Mhm.
there, yeah.
Yep,
So he's been involved with the school for a while.
yeah.
yeah.
But we, I mean, I shouldn't say we, I'm still new. But didn't the school just promote him, right? Recently?
Well, actually, he
Or applied for a new
posted
position.
into a different position and tested for that position, and he
And-
was awarded that position based on his test scores and that, so.
With that being said, what happens to that position now?
We have
Then
to
we have to
repost.
repost that position, and we have to fill that position again.
So the school district would have to go through the new hiring process and
We
then
would go through the same
kick
process we
kick
just
that
went
guy
through.
out,
Yeah.
kick that guy out 2 weeks prior to him wanting to come back, basically, is per the language of this.
That
Yeah.
could happen, yes. Because that, when we granted that past leave of absence to that former employee, that position was posted as a temporary position. And actually, even when he didn't come back, then we had to post it as a permanent position and go through the entire process again. So the first thing, positions are posted as temporary, then we have to go through the whole thing again and post them as permanent.
So it would be a temporary position to fill
Yeah.
his position. I guess that was the only thing that pointed out to me is the poor guy that only had 2 weeks to know he lost a job. I mean, life happens from day to day and everybody needs things like this, but I'm just trying to think of the next guy too.
Is that 2-week notification typical on leaves of absence
Of returning?
of returning?
Yeah.
Because I kind of think like Mike.
Or
said,
sometimes it's like a month, I mean.
2 weeks seems awful short.
That's
for the
That's
person
what I
that is
thought,
in
2
there.
weeks seemed short.
You gotta give the guy a chance that's in that position to look for a job too, I would think, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, we've extended this to other employees, so, I mean, this, I don't see how we could deny this in any way, I mean.
well, I'm not
it's-
saying deny it, I'm
no.
just kind of pointing that point of it out, is trying to think of the, you're gonna ask a guy to temporarily fill a position and say it could be short notice before you're out the door.
It does make things difficult, you know, to find people who want to, if they're currently working, do they want to leave their current job to move into a position that might just be temporary? I mean, you're right,
Can we
there's-
put that back at him and say, hey, we'll approve it, minus you give us a month, little lead time, and,
I think you could do that if you
I mean, if
wanted
that's,
to.
I mean, I'm just speaking out loud, but.
When is he asking for this to be effective?
He wants to work that out between it, I mean, in the near future, but he wants to work out the exact date with administration and himself.
Like fairly recent.
I think it'll
Quickly.
probably be within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Has there ever been any reasons why they request a leave of absence, sickness, or?
Well, the
Or
last
anything like
one
that, or-
was, had a different job offer and wanted to try, you know, a different job and see if it worked out. And, you know, it's hard for people to leave their current place of employment and take risks, I think, in another job, and they
But
want
that's
that.
a risk the real world takes every
No,
day.
I understand that.
You know, we have such a cloistered environment, people are accustomed to all kinds of protections that outside of here employees don't have. So, and there is no language that
No, there is
guarantees
no
this to
language.
anyone. So,
But, I mean, there's precedent, right? I mean,
Well,
the
we-
board's done it before,
we
so.
permitted it, but I don't know that it's really precedent setting.
We've done it in the past. I'm sure there's been times in the past where it's been denied, if we went back and looked, you know, at records.
Yeah, I don't recall. I know we've done it before, but I know we did just lately with another person, but,
But again, I think if you compare years of service, for example, and you know, other factors, I can't give you a specific list, but I would think that there would be a great difference just between any given employee and another.
You have to look at individual circumstances.
I mean, life happens, and maybe it's something personal, and it is what it is, but, I mean, like I said, the only thing I would have a little exception to is the 2 weeks' notice. I mean,
That's
like I
pretty
said,
short.
I mean, some guy comes and wants to work for the district, maybe get his foot in the door, and next thing you know, they got 2 weeks to find a job. I mean, it's kind of, I've worked at places where you get laid off one day, and it's not fun to, one day just get told you're done, you know?
No, we could table it.
I mean,
Well, I think rather than tabling it, because you said he is going to be talking about when it's going to start in the next couple of weeks.
Well, I'm expecting that we're going to have a
No.
conversation about his start date
I
being within the next.
kind of agree
2
with Mike that I
3
would be comfortable in agreeing to
Asking for a
this, but
month.
with 4 weeks or
Right.
notice.
I mean, I would agree to that right now. Just say, change that to, from 2 weeks to 4 weeks and see how it goes with you guys.
I mean, he's still getting his leave of absence, he has to give a little more notice that he's coming back.
It's just maybe not as convenient for him, but it's a little bit, it's a compromise for convenience on both sides, right? I mean, who knows, maybe it's something where you don't come back and it's a non-issue, but at least if it's an issue, it gives the guy in that position a chance.
we have a motion already, right? No, we don't, okay.
I'll move we accept the request for the leave of absence with the change that the notice of permitting reemployment be of 4 weeks rather than 2.
I'll support it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Okay, superintendent's report.
The only thing I have is we'd like to schedule a Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting if we could prior to the next board meeting, and looking for a date that fits with administration and that. I'm wondering if the 18th works for the people on the Buildings and Grounds Committee. And Keith, I know you're working longer hours. I think
Yeah.
the 18th is a Wednesday.
Yeah, I've got my calendar here. I'm just trying to think of. I should be able to make it.
And you're on Buildings and
I
Grounds.
don't know, who is on building and grounds?
Leon, I think, is on there. I believe.
Leon. Anyone can
Anybody
come
can
to
do it.
Buildings and
I'm not
Grounds,
enough
but
it, so I-
but we want to make sure that,
okay, now
the
we're gonna put you
majority
on
of the
everything.
committee members
Right.
can come anyway.
We'll try.
And what time is going to work, because you're working longer days?
Actually, I took off early from work today to get here by 5, so.
What day of the week is the 18th?
It's
so
Wednesday.
Wednesday, the 18th. Got a game?
Time doesn't matter for me.
Okay. Make it for 5 or
5
5:30,
o'clock?
that's fine.
Okay, 5 o'clock, the 18th, I'll send out a reminder to all of you. Buildings and Grounds, Mark Heitzman would like to talk to you about some additional things that need to be considered for repair.
Is that open?
Yeah, everyone
Oh,
can
yeah,
come.
definitely.
And they're public meetings, so
Yeah.
anyone can
Yeah,
attend.
you can take it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys won't lock me out?
No. And that's all I have.
Okay. Board member topics. Mark,
Nothing.
start with you. How about you?
One item. Quite a while ago, we talked about, I'll use advertising, for lack of a better word, the district, and we had talked about utilizing social media, and we bandied around quite a number of different things. I'm just curious where we went with that. Has anything happened?
Well, we decided that we were going to focus our efforts on the early childhood program in kindergarten, correct? So, I don't know, what do you want to talk about what we've done in that area? We have, as administration, we really feel that at the high school level, we've tried advertising before. I mean, we've run huge ads in both Hometown Focus and the Mesabi Daily News, and the results have not been good. We've sent out postcards to outlying areas. We haven't had good results with that. So we talked about how it's important to grab those early learners and get them into the district and try to retain them. So do you want to talk about what you've done? I know we've run some ads in the Hometown Focus, the Mesabi Daily News.
We did run the ads for the kindergarten when we were registering for kindergarten, and added to that ad K-12 registration, and those types were in there. Early childhood, we do have an ad as well as postcards and things that Denise will help us with. Ready to go. Early childhood readiness staff is meeting with me later this month. Should be late next week. Mr. Carey will be involved as well, so those conversations will happen then too.
Does early childhood is that under the umbrella of the ECFU program, or is that
Early
just
childhood.
school readiness only?
The early childhood programs and the school readiness programs are under community education.
ECFU is kind of a separate thing?
Nope, it's the
Or
same
oh,
thing. They're all,
okay.
yeah, they're all
So
together.
used to the abbreviation, I don't really remember what it's called. For the record, I think the ECFE program is a great program. We've been participating in it. The administration guy, I guess, knows mine.
And I know we made some changes to that program to try to accommodate parents. You have two different programs being run for the 4-year-olds, is that correct?
For the 4-5, yes. We
One
have
that's,
2 full-day program and a 2 half-day program. Conversation has happened about that half-day program growing from 2 to 3. Again, just conversation at this time, dependent on numbers. That would be a big piece.
Oh, is that still a possibility?
It's conversation, yeah.
Okay.
I do believe that the all-day, everyday program is at or very near 15, which is what we wanted it to kind of max at this
Is that
first
going to kind
time.
of fill out both sessions then? Or does that depend on?
They can have the choice as to which one they want. So right now, there may be a few spots open there, but most of them are in the half-day that are open at this time. That was a
well, I was
readiness
saying,
three
like,
program.
there's two full day sessions, right?
2 full days is 1 program.
Oh, that's one program. I
Yes.
thought it was 2 separate, okay.
The social media will be coming too.
Pardon?
The social media will be coming soon.
I think it's important, and not so much from, advertising was a poor word. I didn't mean it necessarily in that sense, but
It's
I
gonna be
think
more of
just
an
getting the
information.
word out, what we're doing right, or what the kids are proud of, I think it's a good idea to get kids involved.
It'll
I don't
be
think
there.
the social media should be driven by old people. Let the kids do it, they're the ones that know what the focus is.
I mean, I'll say as a parent in the E ECFB program and school readiness last year, I mean, with Facebook, whether you like it or not, I dislike it, but it's a necessary evil. I mean, I could see it as it's a valuable tool for communication of when events are going to happen, and we got to cancel this event because of they canceled, the picnic in the park because of weather, and they moved it, and a lot of people on Facebook were, trying to communicate. It'd be nice to have just a ECFE school readiness program where you can do them updates and kind of keep communication, other than Shelley trying to send out mass emails to everybody that might or might not be.
Do we not use our school reach to do that, or what?
I don't know that we have, unless something has been canceled for the full
Or
day.
what's it called?
Then they're
Power
canceled.
reach? Power
Power
school?
announcement.
But we
Power
could,
announcement?
we could.
I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't
it's
know.
set up to make those types
Yes,
of
yes.
notifications.
I just think everybody's on Facebook, and I mean, people sit at work on Facebook and they browse through. And, well, this is tonight. We don't have to worry about that, or there's something tonight, or like the movie in the auditorium that the PTA does. I mean,
PTA started a Facebook page as well.
yeah, I mean, even events like that. I mean, it's been just nice to kind of put it all in one little area. So I mean, this winter was a long winter that we were all trying to figure out as parents what to do with our kids, and you don't know about all that stuff until you know about it, and normally it's after the fact,
Just one other thing, and that is the doors. Just a reminder that it is the summer season, and if we can just remind whoever's responsible that the doors should be unlocked, including our handicap entrance.
You want to remember to send, the janitors go home early. There's no afternoon custodians, so they lock the doors today. These people couldn't get into the meetings, so, yeah, we need to keep door 4 and door 2 unlocked. We usually have door 4 unlocked because that's our handicapped access. Yep, our first summer meeting and we forgot.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, Tom?
Just one item. I think it's important now that our new Class B plumber be given ample time to work with Brad Hadrava to learn that heating system, so that when the day comes that he can qualify for a license. And I think this is going to be very important that he be allowed ample time to learn the systems over.
You're right, it takes many, many hours
That's right.
of apprenticeship to get that license.
That's all I have.
Mike?
Well, I'd just like to say thank you guys for appointing me, and hopefully I did all right, and I appreciate the unconventional way of getting on the board, and we'll make a go of it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I've got a couple of things. One, you all know my starting time, I work longer hours now, so every time I have to come to a meeting, I have to take vacation for half an hour to get here in time. So is there any way we can move it back to 5:30?
I have no problem with that.
I have no problem with it.
Okay, I appreciate that. We have to make a motion to do that?
Well, yeah, you should make a motion, and then do you want that to start next meeting, or?
Next meeting if possible. It's just until October, then I'm done.
Well, I don't think it's good to flip-flop times like that, though. I think
Okay.
that if you want to set it at 5:30, then
Let's
you
just
just
leave
set
it
it
there.
at 5:30.
Okay.
Just leave it there.
Yeah, I don't think you should
You
flop
know
it
what,
like that.
if that's the case, it's better off leaving it at 5, because I like getting done early in the winter. I really do. Okay, we'll just leave it at 5.
So you had nothing to say there then, right?
Okay, so just leave it at 5.
No.
Okay.
A couple hours.
I'll use personal leave on it. Also, I've got one, Mark Heitzman contacted me about his evaluation coming up, his 6-month evaluation. We have to set that up.
Is that a committee of the whole, or is that just the,
That's typically just administration writing up
Okay.
something.
I think he's done a very good job. He's always calling me and asking me for different opinions on things and what he should be looking for. I think he's doing a very good job, as far as I can tell. I haven't heard anybody complaining, that I know of. So, then, the reason I was late coming in here, it's gonna be on the building and grounds thing with that Franklin parking lot is terrible.
Well, that, I think one of the
That's one
things
of
he
the
wants
things
to
on
talk about is that as well as the high school
Yeah.
parking lot. I think they're both in pretty bad shape,
It looks like the Franklin might run into some bigger money though.
really.
That thing is split in half. Part of it has got cement underneath with 2 inches of blacktop on top, and it's just crumbling. And what Mark is worried about is gonna be a lot of ammunition for kids throwing rocks against the brand-new windows we're gonna put in. I mean, there's chunks all over the place in there. Somebody came in this weekend and tore up a lot of the blacktop, so it's all over the place in there. So that's one of his concerns, so that's all I have. So, motion to adjourn? Thank you.